Ravits. We're gonna bring up the panels over here. I'll introduce everybody. Let's see, as they come up to the stage right now, and I find my little piece of paper. The current Libertarian Vice Presidential candidate for president for the highest office in the land, running with Governor Gary Johnson. Let's hear it for Judge Jim Gray. Judge Jim Gray. From the UFCW, Dan Rush. All the way from Canada, the wife of the Prince of Pot, the king of marijuana, Mark Emery, and an activist herself, and a monster of an activist, Jodie Emery, everybody. Jodie Emery. Let's see, who else do I have here? From the movie Legalize It. And the producer of Legalize It, Ravit Markus, right here. Everybody, do we need another chair? Everybody's good? You got enough chairs? Where'd Dan go? Daniel Katzir. Dan Katzir, I got his name wrong the last time because the hash is kicking in. Dan Katzir. He directed it. That was great. I really like the editing. I like the fast-pacedness, the whole reality show feel of it. I thought it was really well done. Can I ask you right quick, Ravit? Did you face any specific challenges, or what did you find most interesting about the production?
First of all,
it'll happen.
Mike, you can't hear it.
okay, now? Okay. Thank you. First, I really want to take this opportunity and thank the people who run this amazing operation called Hempfest. First of all, John Davis, who gave me the first opportunity to even show the film to the board and seek their approval, because usually they don't show movies here. And John Davis has been wonderful, and then the support of Viv McPhee and everybody on this board, and Pam, who got us here, and Rachel. It's been an incredible launch for this movie, because today is the launch day to get this movie out there. And if you want to follow our journey of release, knowing where it's playing, or maybe even help us get it to wherever you are, please either follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Just do Legalize It Movie as one word and you'll find us. There's also the website legalizeitmovie.com. Now that I did my promotion, I will actually start answering the question. The hardest part was actually getting close to the people who are in our movie, because for reasons that I totally understand, I think they had a very hard time opening up to us. Dan and I made many documentaries, and usually after a few weeks, we grow on our subject and they just let us in. But I think, unfortunately, as Dan Rush says in the movie, there's such an atmosphere of fear and persecution for people who do this job of growing or selling weed, that people have to be very guarded. They don't know who you are. So it took us a much longer time to develop trust with them, but I fully understand them, because after being in this world, I know you are watched. You might be listened to. I just heard a wonderful lawyers panel before our panel, and they said somebody might be checking into your cell phone. So I understood their fear. At first it looked like paranoia. Now I know it's justified fear. But exactly, it's just a risk. And unfortunately, it's very sad that people who do what, just sell or grow weed, it's something that makes a lot of people just feel better or be happy, should be worried about being followed in any way. So that was the hardest part, but it was so worth it. We're so proud of making this movie and getting it out there and making it have an effect on this world.
A quick follow. Is your mic working out? Everybody try their mics right quick. Sí.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Claro que sí, señor. Muchas gracias por su números. One more question for Ravit, and then we'll start, and everybody can make a speech or something. I'm guessing you're from Israel?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what drew you to California to make this film? That's just a question to me.
Well, I've been in California for quite some time, but the reason we decided to make this movie is that basically we were in a cafe and we heard some old guy looking at his newspaper and saying, "Would you believe it? There's a drug dealer who wants to pay taxes." And to get in touch with Richard Lee, Dale Skyclair, or Jeff Jones. They are guarded people. They were not seeking that kind of attention. But we said to them, we know you're going to make history, and we need to follow you making that, because this is a story that needs to be told. And we don't want you just to be a footnote in the history when in 20 years it's all legal and nobody remembers who was the first to carry the torch. So
good way to do it.
We have to be there. Now, I do want to say one more thing. If you liked what you saw, you can actually watch the entire film Sunday night, tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Woodinville Unitarian Universalist Church. So if you know somebody in Seattle who you think should see this movie but can't make it to Hempfest or couldn't make it to Hempfest today, tell them to go see it tomorrow, 6 p.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Church. And another opportunity to see scenes from the film for people that, again, you think should have been here and didn't, is going to be at the Kingdom Christian Center in Renton. Pastor Carl Livingston has been very kind and brave to let us show the scenes there to his congregation. It's thanks to people like him that we can really push the envelope and get the message out. So please support us by coming or telling your friends to come see it at these two churches tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys. All right, we're going to start at the end and work our way down. You can make a little quick statement. Please be brief. And then we'll discuss the film and how you guys felt about it, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. Sound all right? Over there at the end in the yellow shirt, the National Director of the Medical Cannabis and Hemp Division for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW, Dan Rush, everybody. Dan Rush.
I'd much rather listen to you tell jokes, brother.
Sure, me too.
You are without a doubt hilarious, man. That was great.
Thank you. Buy my CD.
So, just a couple of things I really want to remark on is one, Dan and Ravit's passion, not only for our movie, but also for everything that we're doing, everything they're doing around the country and working on this movie has just been, it's been remarkable. And I got to tell you, I mean, I've grown to love Dan and Ravit, and I've gotten to know them a little bit, and they are without a doubt relentless. I mean, just relentless. And that's why this movie is going to get somewhere, and that's why this movie is going to tell the story of what's going on. We got Allison Holcomb and Tony over here from my 502. We got Paul and Teresa Stanford from Measure 80 in Oregon. I haven't seen Brian Vicente and Sensible or Mason yet, but I think they're on the way here. And hopefully on November 8th, we'll have 3 victory parties to go to this year. I know Steve and I are going to find some way to get to all 3 parties. We got Steve D'Angelo here from Harborside, one of the heroes. My hero, somebody that I've learned from and somebody that I follow across this country and will continue to. Thank you, Steve. Jim Gray, I mean, the judge. At any other time in my life, Jim would have been sentencing me. And instead, sometimes I would get tongue-tied because I'd want to say, well, no, I didn't. And then I'd realize that we were on the same side. We debated one of the most relentless and ugly police chiefs in the state of California, Kim Rainey from Covina, California. This guy is without a doubt Hitler Jr. And I mean, he would sit on stage, he would sit on satellite uplinks, national television, and just read right out of, what's that movie? Reefer Madness. I mean, it was insane, the things that this guy would say. And then, remember one night we were on a satellite uplink debate with Kim Rainey, and he says, Rush, I'd like you to come with me on a Thanksgiving holiday weekend to announce to some family that some family member had suffered some tragedy at the hands of a drug driver. And I said, yeah, Kim, well, I want to take you to one of the homes of the families where the parents work in a cannabis facility. They raise their family, they have health insurance, they have pensions, and they're having a happy Thanksgiving because idiots like you don't get hurt and the truth gets told. That was the last thing that he said. So,
weed always makes Thanksgiving better. I don't know.
So with that, I'm going to shut up because we have a vice presidential candidate.
There he is.
Judge Gray. Jim Gray. Here with us today. And thanks for letting me serve with all you folks.
That works. There you go. Vice Presidential okay, that was Dan Rush. Now, speaking now. On the Libertarian ticket, running with Governor Gary Johnson as the vice presidential candidate, the one, the only, the outspoken. He's been an activist against the drug war for a very long time. Let's hear it for Judge Jim Gray, everybody. Jim Gray, show your love.
Thank you, and thank you all. Honestly, I never in my life thought I would be in a place like this. And I am among friends. It's amazing that some of the very best people I've ever met in my life, I have met as a result of drug policy reform. And that means you. It means good people. I stand in awe of what the responsibility has been that Governor Gary Johnson has asked me to be his running mate. How many people knew of Governor Gary Johnson before today? I hope so, because this is the genuine article. Yes, actually, as a former drug warrior, former federal prosecutor, then a Navy JAG defense attorney, and then a judge, I was a former drug warrior until I started seeing all of these things happen in my own courtroom. And back in 1992, 20 years ago, I did something very unusual for a sitting trial court judge, and I held a press conference announcing to the world as loudly as I can what we're doing with regard to our nation's drug policy is simply failing, is not working. We must repeal drug prohibition. I've been on the O'Reilly Factor and John Stossel special speaking as loudly as I can about this. And then, 1999, I didn't even know who Governor Gary Johnson was, honestly, but this man had the courage as the sitting governor of New Mexico to stand up, conducted his own audit, and said, this isn't working, we must change it, we must repeal drug prohibition. This man has courage, and he's right. On this and so many other issues. If we're going to get our country back, if we're going to bring back prosperity, equal opportunity, and freedom to the United States of America, the only choice for president this election is Governor Gary Johnson. We're going to do it. We're going to do this, but you have to be a part. You have to take this personally. You know, we are facing the media. Now, how many of you know actually who Jesse Ventura is, the former independent governor of Minnesota? He was actually being interviewed about 3 weeks ago on CNN Live. And he said, unbeknownst to us, and actually unbeknownst to CNN, hear ye, I support Governor Gary Johnson, a libertarian for president of the United States. Wonderful thing. And then you know what happened? When they put this interview on their website, they deleted that endorsement. This is what we are facing. However, we have you. You take this personally. You send it out to your email group, your tweeting group, your Facebook group. Get this message out. Go to GovernorGaryJohnson.com. Use anything on our website. You look at it. You'll appreciate it. We're going to get this done. You can vote for Romney. You can vote for Obama. I call them Robomney. They're the same. They're the same. And if either one of those is elected, we will not have any medical marijuana dispensaries in our country within 2 years. The only hope for survival is Governor Gary Johnson, Judge Jim Gray. Take it to heart. Get this word out. And for this and so many other reasons, I say, everybody that votes for Governor Johnson in November the 6th, within 2 years will be downright proud of that vote. And 60% of the people that did not will devoutly wish they had. We need your help. Spread this word out. Hempfest everywhere around the country. You know people that can vote. Take it personally, and you will be deeply, deeply proud of this experience. Last comment, then I'll sit down and we'll again congratulate this Legalize It movie, because this is really another way of getting the word out. One of my heroes in history is a fellow by the name of Thomas Jefferson. Maybe you've heard of him. After the passage of the Constitution, he made the comment, Democracy is a fragile thing. We're going to need a revolution every generation. Why? Because otherwise those special interests will inveigle their way into power and will sap our vitality and sap our strength. How many generations has it been since Thomas Jefferson made that comment? I am deeply proud, I am deeply challenged, and I am deeply excited to tell you that now, at last, the revolution is here in the form of Governor Gary Johnson and Judge Jim Gray. May it be so. Let's get it done. Congratulations to us all for this movie, and let's get to work.
Judge Jim Gray. That whole please be brief thing. I tried it. Remember I said that earlier, please be brief? I rescinded it.
That was brief. I thought a lot longer than that.
All right, please be as brief as you can. Fair enough. I've hung out with old hippies. They also tend to ramble. I'm not saying you're an old hippie. I'm just saying we have things in common. And now I'm rambling, so apparently it's contagious. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, monster urban activist all the way from Canada. Wow. Husband of Mark Emery, free Mark Emery. He's in jail right now in America on some Canadian bullshit. It's not cool at all. Write him a letter. But here she is right now. Jodie Emery, everybody. Jodie Emery. Is it working? Use the other.
All right, I'm going to stand too because I also feel it come out better this way. I am Jodie Emery. My husband is Mark Emery. And for those who don't know, a brief overview is that Mark started using civil disobedience to break unjust laws in Canada long ago. Music that was controversial was illegal in Canada, and so was Jack Herrera's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and so was High Times magazine, and literature about marijuana was completely illegal in Canada. Mark smuggled some literature up from the United States into Canada and sold it, trying to break the law and saying, come arrest me. He put ads in the newspapers, come arrest me so I can go to court and show that these laws are unjust. And he won, and literature became legal. He did the same with a lot of different issues. Sunday shopping he repealed through civil disobedience, giving books away for free in his store. So Mark had lived a life as a rabble-rouser and using peaceful civil disobedience for a message for a very long time. And when he discovered that Jack Herrera's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, he realized that there was this giant conspiracy against marijuana and hemp. And he looked into that further, and it became his cause. He moved to Vancouver, BC in 1994 and decided to start selling marijuana seeds to people anywhere in the world, including the USA. Europe wouldn't send seeds to Americans. Nobody would. That was a crazy idea. But Mark Emery is full of crazy, brilliant ideas, and he sold millions of seeds to Americans in every single state, particularly to California because Prop 215 had passed, and people who were sick and dying and suffering found relief and found life-saving medicine from those seeds. But Mark didn't just provide seeds. He also said that all the money spent would go to legalization reform, and he stood true to that word. He spent over $4 million on the U.S. Marijuana Party medical marijuana ballot initiatives in Colorado, Washington, D.C., and throughout the USA, successful or not. Marijuana Policy Project was about to fold, and Mark saved them. Mark gave millions of dollars, and when he was arrested in Canada, even though he never left Canada and paid taxes and was a public figure who ran for office 12 times, was called the Prince of Pot, was in international media regularly, the U.S. had him indicted here in Washington State, right here in Seattle, for conspiracy charges. He was facing life in prison for being called the leader of the legalization movement. The DEA's own press release didn't mention seeds the day he was arrested. They said he was a significant blow to the legalization movement, and we had one less pot of money to rely on. So they said it would set people back, but it didn't, because Mark's slogan to plant the seeds of freedom, to overgrow the government, came true, and we've seen it in the United States, that it's blossomed all across this country. There are freedom in so many different forms, and Mark and all the people who planted those seeds, who saved their lives, who deprived gangs of money, who put that money they made back into the movement, that has led us to the point where we are today. And it's not Mark alone who did that work. It's every other soldier on the ground in their footwork. And my husband is one of many, many people who have been arrested and imprisoned and lost their freedom and suffering from this law. They never hurt anyone else. The law should never hurt them. My husband had that message, and he has under 2 years left to go. And when he comes home, it's true. We're going to be a dynamic duo, and we're going to tear down this wall of the drug war and free all the drug war prisoners.
Jodie Emery. All right. And I met her, let's see, coming up next, I met you in Los Angeles, California. We used to live at the Sugar Shack Intentional Living Community and Artist Collective down on Pico and Crenshaw back in the day. A wonderful activist, spearhead of the Proposition 19 campaign 2 years ago in California, and just an all-around person and a great dancer. And she's here for you right now. Amanda Rain, the star, damn near, of Legalize It, the movie. She's so captivating in all the clips. Just play past the microphone.
Pass the mic, it'll work. So I'm Amanda Rain, and I really appreciate this movie because after a couple years had gone by, it was when I watched it, I got to watch it in full. It really moved me, and it touched me. It was, it actually brought me to tears. I was like, damn, we were so close. And it was a little heartbreaking. And the reality is that whatever we do, as long as we do it to our fullest and do the best we can, to hell if we win or lose. Because the reality is that change has to happen. Because there is a target on every dispensary operator's head. There is a target on patients still. Because it's up to the cop or the politician whether their state's rights are respected or not. And we know where the federal government is standing on this issue. And so change has to happen. And we can stand up here and we can debate how it's going to happen. And I think that's healthy. And I want to say that one of the things that the Republicans have right, as much as the way that they communicate really like tweaks me sometimes. I'm like, damn, they're rude. But what they do is they toe the line. They know how to get in line and say this is happening, and they know how to move something forward. Whether we like it or not, they know how to move something forward. And it's because they know the definition of the word solidarity. It's something that we could actually take a lesson from them on. So things may not be perfect. And I'll tell you, we live on the world of Grandmother Earth. Life on planet Earth is dynamic. It's not perfect. Things eat things here, right? It is not utopia. We do not live in potopia as much as we would like to. And if we're going to get anywhere close to that, we have to come into some solidarity on this issue. And we have to know how to support each other. When someone takes a stand like Richard Lee did, and that we can actually support him. He gave his life savings. He is broke. Thank you. And so with that, we need to step into solidarity, and we need to know that it's not perfect, because you know, these lanyards here are sponsored by bail bondsmans, right? Which says something. Who is sponsoring things? Right? People who want to help you get out of jail, which means you can still go to jail for this issue. It's having a card or a recommendation is legal insurance. It doesn't mean that you're legal. It means you have insurance if you have to go to court, and you can still go to court. And so I encourage everyone to really get behind the movement, to stand in solidarity, and to support the measures that are currently on the ballot. One last thing I want to share is, you know, when I was down in LA and we were filming this movie and doing the work of Prop 19, it was really disheartening to me when I went to talk to the dispensary operators and they wouldn't come out in support of it. And now in LA, there is a ban against dispensaries for medical marijuana. Right? They were concerned about coming out for full legalization because of what would happen to medical marijuana, and now look where they are. And that is the definition of not being in solidarity, is you get screwed. And so I encourage everyone to search within your hearts, do the research, and if something really tweaks you about 502 or one of the other initiatives, if you're in a different state, figure out a plan to fix it after it passes.
the producer of Legalize It, the movie, which you just saw special sneak preview clips from earlier this afternoon, and it's going to be at the Linwood Unitarian Universalist, and then the written.
Again, it's going to be yesterday presented like we did today. Another. Okay. Again, there's going to be a presentation like we had today of some parts of it and us talking and representatives from I-502 at the Kingdom Christian Center in Renton, presented by the brave pastor Carl Livingston. We need more pastors like that have the courage to show their communities controversial stuff and make them think about this important issue, because if we just preach to the choir, it's not going to get us very far. And in the evening,
All right, go talk to the squares.
Yes. And in the evening, we're going to be it's 6 p.m. tomorrow night at the Woodinville Unitarian Universalist Church, showing the entire film and have a panel discussion again with some of the people here and with the representatives from I-502, because the movie really tells the same stories that's happening now, exactly what Amanda said. We start going into too many discussions, and instead of pushing the envelope forward, we move back. Because unless we keep pushing forward, stagnation doesn't work. The other forces want to push us back, so every achievement has to be pushed forward, just because no matter how imperfect it might look to some of you. And I also want to say again that if you want to see exactly the details about the screenings tomorrow, or stay in touch with us, help us bring this movie to wherever you are. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, or our website. Just do Legalize It Movie. Just as one word, and you'll find us. Please come take stickers from me or my business card. I want to stay in touch with everybody who wants to get the message out. Legalize It Movie. And a few more thank yous are to Stacy and Clint and John Kelly. They help us make this screening happen. It's not easy, like I said, showing a movie. It's not easy to show a movie in a festival that mostly has speakers and music, but they helped us make it happen, and it's such a pleasure to be here. And I hope there's some questions for these wonderful speakers.
I have some questions, and then we'll throw it open to the audience, because I'm assuming one or two of you have questions. No? You're just staring at me like the edibles just kicked in? No one? No one's got a question? No one's got a... Take your time. Maybe you can formulate one in the time. Never ask my question. You guys were almost all of you were in the movie, right? All of you. All of you. What, any fond memories? Any something you care to share? Jodie's got one.
Well, as a Canadian, some people say...
Start every sentence like that.
As a Canadian, a lot of people say I shouldn't be ootin' a boot in the USA. I'm asked, why are you coming down to the U.S.? Why are you talking about what's going on in America? You're a Canadian, stick to your own country. Well, let me tell you that, obviously, the U.S. drug war started in the United States, and the U.S. drug war has spread out into every country on this earth like a cancer. And I have experienced firsthand my husband being stolen as a Canadian citizen who did not come to the U.S. He was stolen out of my country and brought facing life in U.S. prison here. So it goes everywhere. It affects everyone. And when Proposition 19 came up, Mark and I supported it 100%. We think that Richard Lee was a saint for dealing with what he did. Yeah. He was attacked and smeared by a lot of people, and that man gave more money than anybody else did, and he wanted to make it happen. The message is more powerful than the details. I'm sorry, but when you're living in a state where there are no medical marijuana protections and there is no decrim and there is no Hempfest, you're looking at these states and saying, you guys need to set the example. So when Proposition 19 failed and the message around the world said, California of all places, doesn't want it legal,
right.
That's what made the U.S. federal government say, hey guys, we got the pass. We can go in there and start shutting things down because those people can't even get organized to vote for legalization. And that message went around the world. And we have a new opportunity now to send the message. Like Allison said on Steely's stage the other day, the headline on the newspapers all across the world is either going to be Washington State legalizes marijuana, or it's going to be legalization failed again. And when it fails, that gives a message to everybody else across this country and across the world that even where people are most active and most organized, they can't get it done. And that puts a lot of dark in into the hearts of the millions of prisoners who are waiting for freedom, who are counting on everybody out here who is free to get them out of there, to save their children from prison. Because I remind people this every day, if you're out here and you're free, you have a responsibility. You owe it to all the drug war prisoners, not just in the US, but all around the world who are suffering from this drug war. You owe it to them to end it here first so it can fall like dominoes across the world, and we'll see drug prohibition end worldwide and free so many peaceful, innocent people to go home to their families.
Thank you. So then that was your favorite part of being in the movie? I'm just glad we figured that out.
My favorite part is the diversity in the movie. You saw people from every walk of life, from all aspects. You know, if that many people can see that this drug war has failed, we've got to be right. You know, people like Dan Rush here, people like Steve Downing, the former chief deputy of the Los Angeles Police Department, for heaven's sakes. That was the man on this movie. So it cannot fail. It won't fail. The question is, when will this victory be received? And the answer is, if you take it personally, this November. But that's what the movie shows. Proud to be involved with it.
The statute of limitations hasn't run on some of the things, so we can't tell some of those stories. But I will, I really do want to comment on somebody in the movie and somebody that was part of the campaign that just really was like, not only if you weren't doing your job were you going to hear about you weren't doing your job, and if you didn't have enough job to do, you were going to find some new job. And if anything in your job went wrong, or there was anybody to jump up and just kick their asses, it was Amanda Rain. And I just gotta say, you know, the things that we got to do together and the places we got to go and the stuff that we've seen happen, and just like you pointed out, don't oppose it, let's pass it and fix it, okay? Any move forward is a move in the right direction. We've got to stop being our own worst enemies. And for the Measure 80 and the 502 and the 64 people, reach out to the growers, reach out to the producers, and help them understand there's life in legalization. We got Kristen Nevedal and Allison Sterling Nichols over here from the Emerald Growers and in the Emerald Triangle region. They know the producers, the issues, the things that we need to bring into the new campaigns, the environmental issues, watershed issues, erosion issues, the atrocities that our own people commit. And they do it in the name of medicine, but they're cutting down entire forests, and we're pouring chemicals into rich nature that should be preserved, and we're out there hacking and hewing and slashing and ripping and robbing and going, but it's for the patients, you know? And dude, I grow the best pot in the world. It's like, you know, give me a license, dude. It's like, dude, you know, grow up and talk right and go get a job, you know, and get yourself a lawyer and get yourself a license and take the right steps, and don't be our own worst enemies, either because we're carnivorous or because we just can't get along. So I really want to point out, I had such a great time working with both Jodie and Amanda and Jim, and getting to know the judge and Ravit and everybody here. You know, I got to tell you, 3 years ago, I wasn't in cannabis. 3 years ago, all I did was work for a union, and all I did in the union was run statewide ballots. So I'm a toddler in cannabis. I know a lot about statewide ballot campaigns, and you guys should really listen to me. Okay? and obviously you are. So I'm going to be happy to keep fighting with this crew, and I love you guys.
All right. I'm going to bring, let's Dan Rush again.
I just want to quickly say that one of my favorite parts of the movie is when Dan rolls up on his Superman Harley. It's like, dun da da da. And then, you know, you really brought a lot of energy into the campaign. You brought so much hope and so much energy, because it was like, wow, we have a fighting chance here. And so that coupled with the NAACP coming on board, it was a huge turning point. And I just really want to emphasize, when you watch the movie in full, it really articulates how we really went from not anticipating a win at all, because everyone was like, no, it's not going to happen, you're doing it too early, all the arguments against it. And then, you just keep on keeping on. And in the end, we were so close.
So close.
So close. We didn't have any money, right? And how do you do that in California with no money? We got more votes than Meg Whitman.
Right. She was running for governor.
And she spent a lot of money. $200 million. And we didn't have that kind of money, and we got more votes than her. So there is a lot that can be done through people power. And if we just can stand behind each other, we can truly make change happen. And so I just wanted to offer that.
Awesome. Amanda Rain, once again. We're starting to director, everybody. He's the director of the film. He directed the whole thing. Come on, speak a little bit.
Hey, hopefully I didn't talk too much while it was moving forward. But I will also say that I knew very little about cannabis and about activism, and I got involved with this. Like Ravit said, we kind of got involved with it by chance. We were the people who kind of came out of Mars and started following this campaign, but it was amazing and it was inspiring, both about pot but also about the idea of change, that we live in this cynical world where we feel that if there's no large corporations behind you, if there's not hundreds of millions of dollars behind you, there's no point in trying to make any change. But I think this small group of people did prove that when people have the passion and the courage, they can bring change. And maybe they didn't bring the 100% victory, but change happens one footstep at a time, and they made 3 footsteps just by their courage and passion. So thank you for allowing me to follow all of you for so many months.
All right, we have like 7 or 8 minutes left. Anybody want to say anything in closing?
Can I make a statement?
Would you like to make a statement, or would you like to ask a question? Like a Hempfest quick thing, or like a real world quick thing? All right, quick. I'm timing you. Come up here so you don't make the feedback sound.
Sitting here?
Anyway, I'm Richard Marcella. I've been doing this since January 1980, and I probably picked up the sword. There's a gentleman, Casper Leach. In 1990, he started doing a show, Hemp for Victory. Time for Hemp. He was the first show on television about a marijuana show, Casper Leach, and I followed in his shadows. In June of 91, I started doing Hemp for Victory. I did 66 episodes in 10 years, and a lot of people followed the lead between Casper, myself, and coming up. I've contributed documentaries. I've got a library of stuff that would put anything you guys to shame, and I was there. And I want to thank you all for following. I was in footsteps, and you're following. I'm proud of you. Keep it up.
Thank you, Richard Marcella, cannabis media activist and archivist at Casper Leach. Definitely. Let me ask Ravit about that. Like, you said you kind of got into this, like you've made a lot of documentaries before, but you never followed marijuana or anything. So did you find any cool marijuana films or archives, or did you check any of that stuff, or did you just go documentary style?
Oh, absolutely. Some of our favorite movies were Grass and the Union, and one of our proudest moments was when I showed the movie a few months ago to Rick Cusick from High Times Magazine, and he basically said, oh my God, there are 2 great movies about the topic, Grass and the Union. Now you're the 3rd. So now there's 3 great movies about this issue. So we were very proud to join that list. And another thing I did want to mention about...
Wait, let me guess. You can find it at legalizeitmovie.com and on Twitter at Legalize It Movie, and also on Facebook at Legalize It Movie. Let's call it a hunch. And then you're going to be in Woodinville tomorrow and in Britain.
6 p.m. And I do want to say again that one of the main things we talk about in the movie is the personal risks that people take when they join this movement. And we showed, like we said, you see, when we showed Alice Huffman, who people called for her resignation once she had the courage to support this. And it takes such courage from all the people on this stage and a lot of other people who came and said what they feel. But only when a lot of people have that and they overcome the fear of what their friends will say about them, what will their employers and their colleagues say about them, that's when change can happen. And that's why our film is about victory, because they did make a lot of people, they got a lot of people to come together, like Judge Gray said, from all walks of life, from the entire political spectrum. They all came together, and that's why they got the envelope pushed farther than anyone ever has. And they did change policy, but you need to see the whole movie to know how.
Thank you, Ravit. All right, quick, like everybody, 30 seconds. We're gonna go Amanda, and then Jodie, and then Jim, and then that'll probably wrap it up. 30 seconds.
So
Casper?
Jack Hare would be very proud to see all the events that are happening today. I worked with Jack Hare for 3 years. I ran his office in the 1990s, and I can certainly tell you that Jack Hare, the father of the marijuana movement, would be so proud of all the hard work that all these activists have done, and would be totally amazed as to how far the movement has progressed. On behalf of all the people who have loved Jack Hare and honored his work, I say thank you. Let's keep this movement going forward, and let's tear down this wall.
There you go, Casper Leach from Time for Hemp. All right, Amanda Rain, what do you want to say?
So one of the potent parts of the movie that wasn't, yeah, thank you. One of the really potent parts of the movie that wasn't shown is where Richard Lee is kind of reflecting on his situation. It's getting close to vote date, and he's reflecting that, okay, if we win, they're going to target me because we won. And if we lose, they're going to target me because we lost. And he says, I'm dead either way. And so I just want to offer a quote from a brilliant woman that came to a conference that I organized once. And she was a young African-American woman. And she understood this very well, and I think it's something that we really need to come to understand ourselves. And it's, if to be divided is to be conquered, then to be separated is suicide. I'm gonna say that again. If to be divided is to be conquered, to be separated is suicide. I want to encourage the people in this audience, especially as this next panel comes on, do not commit suicide.
Yeah.
See what LA is going through right now. That is suicide. The target that's on Harborside. We have to come into solidarity.
Yeah.
Amanda Rain.
Yes.
Jodie Emery.
I'll be very brief. Many people have come before us and have done their most to change these laws. Many people have died either through suffering from illness that medical marijuana helped them with, or maybe they didn't get medical marijuana and they died because of it. Many people die in prison and they die everywhere because of this drug war, but they laid their brick in that path to victory. So we may not see victory in our lifetimes, and I sure hope we do, but when you take action and you do anything to make a difference, being it vote yes on 502 or yes on any initiative at all that gets us a little further and reduces the punishment a little more, that is laying another stone in that path to victory and freedom. And again, you may not be there, but you owe it to our children and grandchildren, the people who will come after us, to put those stones down.
Jodie Emery. Candidate Jim Gray. Judge Jim Gray, everybody. Judge Jim Gray.
So many people want to have a third choice. Not Romney, not Obama. They heave a sigh of relief when they know they do have a viable third choice. Governor Gary Johnson. This will be the revolution that tears down this wall, that brings back prosperity, it brings back equal opportunity, it brings back freedom to the United States of America. Remember, get this word out, Governor Gary Johnson for president, and you will be so proud of what will happen. It's up to you. Thanks again, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you. Thanks to this movie.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the panel again. Judge Jim Gray, Jodie Emery, Amanda Rain, Ravit Markus, and Dan Karitz from Legalize It, the movie. Dan Rush was already here. Let's hear it for everybody on the panel for showing you the film. I'd like to thank the Imposium and Stacy and everybody on the sound, and the big crazy debate is coming up here on